Thank you for joining. My name is Sami Trujillo, and what we're going to look at today is a bit of tricks and tips regarding APS. This is not an APS webinar. I will not go through the APS setup, but I will remind for people who are not familiar what the APS does in the system, and I will show you a few tricks to make it more easy to manage or better suited for the customer needs. So what is APS? APS, in the end, is something very simple. When we release a work order for any item, the system normally works in a backwards manner. Whatever the dispatch date or the delivery date is for the work order, it will work backwards according to the runtime that you have in the routing. Okay, so it will tell you for every single operation when it should start and when it should finish. But when it does that, and it doesn't matter if it's one operation or multiple operations, like in this case, what it does not do is tell you if you have enough capacity to do so, because if you have 3 different work orders or 4 or 10, all of them fighting for the same resource, then when this is done, then it completely ignores it. It tells you how much time, when it should start and when it should end, based only on the date and on the time it takes to do every single operation. So what APS does is takes all these dates that you have here, it looks at the resources capacity, it looks at material availability, and it lets you know which are and a set of other rules, and it lets you know when this can actually be done. Now, for APS to work in generic terms, you can see here that some of the work orders have dates here and some of them don't. The reason for that is that for work orders to be included in APS and the dates to be automatically maintained, when you go into the setup in the header, the work order has to be set to schedule automatically. Only then will the dates be considered, and only then APS will pick up these work orders. By the way, this can be done automatically by selecting the type of work order. When you raise a type, and just a reminder, you indicate if this type allows for automatic scheduling. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the APS. The result of this and the way to manage this, if we go, and by the way, for whoever doesn't know, the APS is under Production Capacity Planning, APS. And when you install the system, when you install BEAS for the very first time, you will have 2 APS created, one called Standard and one called by Resource, and these come automatically. My recommendation is never use this, never maintain these ones. I would recommend to go into Edit Scheduling, for example, by Resource, click on Copy, and give it a new ID. And this one, you can make all the necessary changes. My new APS. And you have a new one, and this one you can make all the necessary changes. Okay, so what is APS in the end? I just told you what it changes the date in which the operations take place based on capacity constraints and or material constraints. How does it look like? Basically, I go into this screen that shows me all the work orders that I have in the system that I am supposed to do something with them. But these work orders are sorted in a very specific manner, which is, we'll see in a second, okay? And the sorting is the one that indicates the priority of each one of these work orders. So what I'm looking at here right now is this takes priority over this work order, which takes priority over this, and this is the least important one. Let's start with the first trick. First of all, you can sort the work orders by delivery date, which seems to make a lot more sense because the one that has the closest delivery date usually is the one that's most important. Okay, or you can select it by document number, by document number being the work order number. But what happens if you need to sort it but by something that does not exist here on the list? For example, you created a new field, a UDF, in the work order header that indicates, I don't know what, grouping, and you would like to sort it by that type of grouping. Well, this is easily done. When you edit the scheduling, in the bottom part of the screen, you can actually, these are the standard ones, you can actually use any field from the tables BAS FT Haupt, which is the header, BAS FT Pos, which is the position, or the item master. Okay, so if you have a field in the item that you say, okay, this is a gold item and it should be done first, or the other way around, you would just put something like OITM U underscore my field, and then you would be able to automatically sort it by whatever you put here. As an example, I selected here the order number, Auftrag, BAS underscore FT Hauptauftrag is the order number, the customer order number that it's saved at the level of the work order. So when I do this, enough that I go in, it is already sorted by this number, which was not in the list at the beginning. And I can do up to 3 different sorting options that I can create here. So every time I select, I am able to use them. So this is one thing that you can do by creating specific sorting for specific fields that you require. Another thing that you can do here is say, okay, fantastic. So I sorted by delivery date. So when I run the calculation of the APS, this will take priority over this, over this, over this. However, my boss called me this morning and told me that, you see, this sales order 300, sales order 300, line number 2, this takes priority over everything else. The customer said that this is the most important thing that needs to be done. And I would like this one to be the first one, even though the delivery date that's stated here is the latest one. No problem. You can actually click on Sorting Edit, hold the icon here on the side, and just move it manually to wherever you want to locate it. Okay? All you have to do, and you can move this up, and you can also move some of them down. This is your prerogative. You can always do that. The most important thing after you do this is just make sure that you save the new sorting that you've done. The only thing you have to be aware is that while you're in this screen, this sorting is saved. But if you decide to leave and come back, then we're back to the original sorting. It will not keep it. It just keeps it during the session in which you have the screen open. Okay, so I'll go back to the delivery date, manually sort this, bring it to the top, and save it. Okay, I will run a calculation now. Run a calculation. It should take just a couple of minutes. When I run the calculation, APS tells me, okay, I've looked at the whole situation that you have, and this is what I have, okay? This is the original delivery date as stated in either the sales order or at the work order level. On the work order level, the delivery date, normally it's kept by MRP results or manually entered. Tells me, okay, obviously we have to begin today. I can never begin before today. We're talking about a forward scheduling, so we start today, and this is when this is supposed to end. So as I can see here, these three, I'll be late. I won't be able to deliver them on time, okay? Because obviously these two are 2015, so I'll be late anyway, and this one, I'll be 1 day late. Because of the constraints and everything, probably these three took up all the necessary resources here. The result I can see here, or the result that I get here, I can see it in a visual way by looking at the Gantt chart. This is a Gantt chart in which I can see which one takes precedence over anything else. The Gantt chart here is made out of 3 different levels. And this is the gray colored here, the dark blue, and the light blue. The light blue is the lowest level that is calculated. The dark blue is a combination of all the times of the level below it, and the top one is the top level in which I can accumulate or consolidate my data. Okay. Now I want to show you, I don't know if you've been able to see it in the past, that actually I can play with these levels and bring the information in different ways that maybe will be easier to understand. For example, what I have here is I see 1570 is the work order number. This is the position number that shows me that I have an item called subassembly. And these are the 3 steps that this subassembly can take place. Now, imagine I have a very, very long list. I mean, this is very simple, but I might have a very, very long list here, so that every single time I go into the system, I will have to scroll down a lot. Now, we can play with what we're seeing here and also in the way we are looking at it. I'll show you how. When you define the APS, you have something called the views here. If you double click on the views and go into subviews, you also get another option, and I would like to spend a little time here. Okay, in this subviews, I can actually indicate how I would like to see the Gantt chart. This screen basically is applied only to the Gantt chart, not to the calculation. By the way, there is no way we can intervene in the way that the calculation is made. We can only show the results in different ways. And this subview will allow us to play or to indicate how I would like to see the results in the Gantt chart. For example, I would like to see information about the order. Then show me the work order number, and under the work order number, show me the position. Now, if I click here on group closed, what it will do is when I run the Gantt chart, it will bring me the results like this, in a closed manner, showing me only the top level. If I want to drill down and look at the results, I would have to click on the plus sign. Then I see the subassembly, and then I see the different steps that I have to take. So from a very easy or easiness perspective, once I look at this, at least I get a whole idea of each work order, how long it's going to take, and when it's supposed to start and when it's supposed to finish. So it's very comfortable to look at it this way. If I have a question or I have a query or I have something to understand, I can say, okay, Why is this taking, I don't know, from Friday to next Monday? Then I can open it and see, oh, because the setup time will start here, because probably there is a setup time also here, and the time and the runtime here goes over the weekend and so on. So, but it's a lot more easy. It's a lot easier just to look at this and look at a lot less information and get a bird's eye view that is more clear and less messy to look at. But it's something you can do directly. Now that screen I was in before, I can also access it from here, from the view. Okay, and I'll go back to my sub view. And I have a list, by the way, these two, I have two because this one closes the first one, and this other one that I have closes the second breakdown. Okay, now imagine that I have these are all the fields that I have available here. Okay, but you can see here that I have some UDFs. Okay. Imagine that I have, again, as I said, I have a UDF at item level or at work order level that I wish to be the driver when I look at the screen. When I would like them to be the ones that are being included. How do we set these up? In the same screen here, which when I have the subviews, I have something called a field description. Here in the middle of the screen, you have the option to select which UDFs you want to create. So I will call the first UDF my UDF1. And I can select from a list of, these are all the fields that are made available for me, which are taken from the routing of the work order, BAS FTAPL. They are taken from the header of the work orders, BAS _ FTHaupt. They are taken from the position, or they are taken from the item master. Okay, so if I would like, for example, to add a field in the item master, I'll just check one at random, okay, which is, I have no idea. Okay, the on-hand stock. I know it's a bit ridiculous. All I have to do is select it, an update here, and from this moment on, this field is available for me to select here, and the data that is within it will be displayed in the Gantt chart. Okay, I know it's a bit ridiculous to have the on-hand stock, but you can actually put any field and up to 4 fields that you can use to sort and group by in the Gantt chart. Okay, a couple of more things. As you can see here, we have 3 designation bars. So what we have here is, it goes from the, think of it from the bottom up. Okay, remember I told you that we saw that we have, I'll do it again. We saw that we have 3 different levels of breakdown for the same information. So when I see this line indicates that there is information below it, and the information is each one of these operations that make up the total time that it takes here. Okay, so when we have this, let's go back. I have here 3 different levels. So I say my very top level, the one that sums the ones below, is information regarding the work order. My second level is information regarding the assembly, and my very lowest level is the operation sequence. Okay, so this allows me to indicate how I want to accumulate or aggregate the information. But I have one more ability here. I can also decide not only how I want to aggregate it, but also what information I would like to display. What I mean by that is when you go to the Gantt chart here, you can see here that I can see the work order number, and this is apparently the order number, And this is it's either the make to stock or make to order. If it's make to order, you can see the customer here, and this is the sales order number, okay? So we can actually customize also the information that is being displayed at this level. And that is done, again, by going into the view. If we go into field description, you will see here at the top of the screen that you have 3 different levels. Sum 2 is the top level. It goes exactly like the previous screen, from the bottom up. So as you can see here, the top level, you will see that it has the work order number, then the sales order number, and then the customer name. And you can select any field that you have here at this level. And you can select any field from the work order operations, any field from the work order header, or any field from the position, not from the item. Okay? These are the 3 tables that have information available. And by the way, all you have to do is just select it. It just adds it here to the logic. Okay? And it will show you the result, how this is going to look like after you do so. So this is the information that's going to be displayed at the very top level, at the very top aggregate level. This is the information that is going to be displayed at the second level. And at the lowest level, it will show you all the information. I know it looks a lot, but basically it only brings you the position number, the resource, and the resource name. Okay, but it's quite a lot. It's a very long query, but it's because if it's external operation, and if it's like this, and if it's like that. And by the way, this is the standard one. Okay, to give you an idea what we can do with these things, with a mixture of my ability to select the data displayed together with the designation bar I have here, I would like to show you a little thing I did here to prepare. Let's say I want APS to be used by customer service. Customer service would like to have an idea, especially in a make-to-order environment, on the customer service doesn't care about the work order, it doesn't care about anything. It cares about the sales order, and it cares about the delivery date and when it will be able to be delivered. Okay, so what I did in that case, I created an APS order and a new APS scheduling called by customer order. And in the view, I did a couple of things. First of all, I indicated that my 3 levels are: give me information about the work order, give me information about the resource, and also of the time each resource takes. Those are the 3 things I'm interested in. Okay, but I want to display something a bit different. As the top level, I would like to display here, this is the delivery date. This is the sales order number. Okay, so LFG dot is the delivery date. This is the sales order number, Auftrag, and this is the customer code or the customer name. Okay. As a second level, I would like to see the work order and the resource that's being used. And at top level, and at bottom level, the assembly. Again, very detailed. What is the result of something like this? If I run a Gantt chart, imagine you are customer service, and you're looking at this screen, and it tells you, listen, there is an order for the customer called Band & Lufel that it's supposed to be ready by the November the 9th. This is the customer order number, 302. line number 1, you can see here that it will be ready in October. Okay, this is a very simple example. And this one should be ready by the 20th of November. It will be ready by Tuesday, the 24th, because these are the stages that they have to go through, and these are the actual operations or time, because these are the resources. By the way, when I start working, these lines become black to indicate that they have started working. So as customer service, I can actually look at here and see when my orders will be ready, which is very comfortable because I'm looking not at work orders, I'm looking at sales orders. And that makes a lot of sense, okay? Now, again, as customer service, I look at the days, and here the days are broken by hours. I might not need that. So another ability we have here in this screen is to decide how I want to look at my Gantt. I can look at by day. You see, okay, let me know when it's going to be ready. The 24th, fantastic. I need no more information. I don't care it's 3 o'clock or something like that. So I can see all this information being gathered in a manner that is comfortable for the customer. And again, it's done using the system capabilities. And it's better to group them like this because you have a bird's eye view and a full view of what's going on. And if you want to break it down, you just can click here. You have these icons here that allow you to break it down by groups or to close them back. Okay, so you don't have to go one by one. Of course, you can go by one by one, but you don't have to. You can use these icons just to be able to look at this. Okay, I just want to show you, this is more or less the tips and tricks. These are areas that normally we don't, when we're working with APS, we just try to make it work. We do a lot less with the UI of it or the information that's being displayed. And I just wanted to give you an insight on the things that could be done